Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Hey, welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, how we doing?
Good morning, Jen. How you doing today?
Great. Feeling good?
Let's go, Nuggets! More Nuggets!
Full night of sleep.
I got Clippers in 5.
Nuggets.
I got
Nuggets.
Clippers in, I don't know, maybe 6 over the Lakers. I might give you a couple of games.
Okay,
maybe. I'll give the Nuggets one game, maybe.
Oh, you think so the Lakers they are going to advance. Is that what you're saying?
I think so in 7 over the Rockets, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The confidence from both sides of the table this morning. I can feel it from over here. All right, we got a packed show. Let's get to what we saw last night. The Jazz-Nuggets series has been really one of the highlights of the playoffs so far, so it's only fitting that Game 7 came down to the last second. Down 2 with under 10 seconds left, Donovan Mitchell had a costly turnover. After a missed layup by Denver, Utah still had one chance to quickly advance the ball and get a three-point attempt off, but Mike Conley's shot went in and out, and the Nuggets held on to win and advance. So, Shannon, any issues with the way the last sequence unfolded there?
I don't, because Donovan Mitchell had an opportunity to skip to possibly, put him ahead. And Gary Harris Jr. made a great play, and he's not known for defense, and he just reached around, poked the ball out.
He's pretty good on defense.
But the thing was, Skip, I'm seeing Murray drive the ball down. I'm like, he's going to pull this thing out. They have a 2-point lead. You don't need the points. Make them foul you. And he goes and, passes it, and they blow the layup. And I think what happened is because it's so chaotic, and I think Gobert realized I don't have a whole lot of time because he had Donovan way up the court. But everybody that was, close to him, he had Mike Conley Jr. He passed it to Conley Jr. And Skip, when that ball left his hand, I thought it was going in. I really did. Because he's the type of guy that can make shots like that. You've seen him at the end, late in the shot clock, Skip, at the end of quarters or halves of things, make shots like that. So when that ball left his hand, I'm like, man, they just won the game by 1.
Yep.
And it rimmed out. I didn't think the game was going to end the way it did, Skip, considering how it started the first half. I'm like, man, this is very anticlimactic.
I'd say.
This is terrible.
Yep.
I mean, I'm looking at the score, it's 50-36 at the half.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, this is not what I thought, especially after the fireworks that we had gotten in games 4, 5, and 6. I'm like, okay, this is the type of game it's going to be. But then, the game starts, and the Jazz couldn't buy a bucket. And I'm like, man, this is really not good. And then all of a sudden, late in the third, and in the fourth, it picks up, and then we got the ball game. The last 8-9 minutes that we expected throughout the entirety of the ball game. But, Skip, I don't have a problem with the way the game played out. Donovan had the ball in his hands. He got it poked away. And the next thing you know, they're coming back the other way. Denver, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know why you would even attempt that. Pull that ball back out, Murray. Make them foul you. Go to the free throw line and make your 2 free throws and go up by 1. I know you say, well, I got a 3-on-1.
Yep.
But what happened, what could have happened, it happened, and it almost cost you the ball game. But I don't have any problem with the sequence of events. I just have a problem with the way Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles played. Because the last 2 games, English had 12 points, and Royce O'Neal, I think, had like 10 or 11. You can't win like that when you got starters playing those kinds of minutes, Skip, putting up those kinds of numbers. But other than that, I don't have a problem with the way the game played out.
I have one huge problem with the final sequence, and I'm about to get to that, but I'm going to step back and go big picture off last night. I want people to focus on the fact the final score was 80-79. Think about that.
78.
78. 80-78. In fact, I tweeted with 3 minutes left. I said the final score is going to be 80-79. That's why it stuck in my head. And I missed it by a point. And I thought it was going to be low scoring because, I'm not condemning because these are young players.
Right.
But there was a whole lot of choking going on out there. There were a whole lot of tightening Game 7 throats going on. And again, these are 2 teams not all that used to Game 7s, but I warned you going into this game yesterday, Denver did play 2 Game 7s last year. 2 Game 7s. One against the Spurs and then one against the Blazers. And in those 2 Game 7s, Jamal Murray made a grand total of 0 3-point shots. And last night, he was 1 for 6 from 3. So he now has played 3 Game 7s in his still very young career, and he has 1 3-point shot. The other night in Game 6, he went 5 for 5 from 3 in the fourth quarter.
Right.
This is different. This is 7.
Yeah.
This makes everything seem very different, where the stage is too big for you, even though there's nobody on the stage. There are no fans that you can really see. They're virtual, but you can't really see anybody. It's pretty quiet in that gym for the most part, and the stage was still too big for just about everybody on the floor except that big guy for Denver.
Joker.
The Joker has played pro basketball for a long time because he was playing pro basketball when he was 14 in Europe, and the stage was not too big for him. He ended up being the tower of power, the one guy who was a cool customer, and he made the shot of shots.
Especially down the stretch.
Hey, down the stretch. And by the way,
did he miss down the stretch?
No, he did not. And that one shot against Gobert, who was playing his tail off.
He was.
If we could see the last shot that he made, this is the game winner. You want to talk about creativity and guts on this shot? This is like a fall-away hook shot. Look at this. He just made it up on the fly, and he swished it, and that's the ball game. All right, that leads to the final. And by the way, just to sum this up, you realize Denver won this game while scoring a grand total of 30 points in the second half. Think about this. Everybody out there in TV land, think about this. Jamal Murray in game number 1 scored 36 points, so that's more than they scored in the second half. In game 4, he goes for 50, game 5 for 42, and game 6 for 50 more points. His team last night scored 30 in the second half and survived. Live to tell about it.
Think about how many times Jamal Murray scored more points in the fourth quarter by himself than what they scored in the fourth.
I got it. Game 7 is different.
It is.
Okay, now I'm probably going to be over harsh, but I got some issues with the way the final sequence unfolded.
Okay.
My first issue is this. Donovan Mitchell drives it on Gary Harris, but they know he's going to drive it, so he's got all kinds of help behind him, so he can overplay him to the right hand and make him try to cut back to the left, and then there are all kinds of bodies coming. And Gary Harris made a nice play. He stayed with him, and he flicked it out of his hands from behind. Bang. And all of a sudden, Jamal's got the ball, and he's off to the races. Okay, so let me finish on your first point. I'm okay with you finishing that play 2-on-1 if you are dead sure you're going to get a dagger dunk. If you think it's a dagger dunk by Torrey Craig, if you can bounce pass for a dagger dunk shot, I'm good with it because now you're up 4 and it's game over, right? Torrey Craig blew the layup. So clearly it's an easy 20/20 hindsight where that's choke. It's just a choke. It's a game 7 blown layup. We get it. So obviously if Jamal had it to do over, he'd say, maybe I should just dribble the clock out because that's the safer play. But the dagger play, the go for the throat play is what he did as long as Torrey Craig can put the exclamation point on it. And instead of getting a wide open dunk, he tried to lay it off the glass and he laid it short and it trickled off the front to Rudy Gobert. And here we go up the court. Here's my bigger issue. I love Donovan Mitchell. I have defended him. I said he should have been the Rookie of the Year. You said Ben Simmons. I love his game. I love his mentality. I didn't love it in the fourth quarter last night because he ran from the ball too many times. He let little Mike Conley Jr. say, you don't want the ball? I guess I got to go. And Mike Conley Jr. went 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter. Is that good?
No.
No, it's not good.
He went for 2 of 13 for the game.
2 of 13 for the game. Donovan, you took only 4 shots in the fourth quarter, and you did make one that was a big driving layup. That was a nice shot. But you should be shooting 7 or 8 times in the fourth quarter. And 2 of them, I think he got gassed. I really do. He would just stand and look at Conley Jr. like, just go, just do it.
I mean, the first half, Skip, I mean, you watch it in the first half, and you're like, wow, where's the energy? And I understand, you've exerted a lot, especially over the last 3 games.
And for a while, he guarded Jamal, and he did a good job.
And that was, Skip, I thought that was the mistake. Because he's your offense. You can't have your offense. If you notice, Skip, they put Jeremy Grant into the starting lineup and put him on Donovan because they didn't want Jamal Murray being gassed, trying to trace Donovan Mitchell all over the court.
Okay, this is game 7. This is legacy. Sometimes you just got to suck it up and hope, as Vince Lombardi once said, that fatigue makes cowards of us all. Well, you got a little cowardly there because you got fatigue.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in your genetic makeup to be cowardly. I just think I don't have anything left.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you got to reach down. You know this for a fact. You got to find that last little bit that you didn't think was there because it's Game 7.
Yep.
So Donovan Mitchell gets turned over on one end of the court, and what does he do, Mr. Sharpe?
He lags.
He pouts. The game's over. No, it's not over.
Right.
This is a message to all the young people out there playing basketball or football or baseball or hockey or whatever you're playing. You can't quit on the play. If there are 7 seconds left in the game, you can't pout at the wrong end of the floor.
Right.
You have to chase the play because you never know what might happen.
Yep.
Torrey Craig might blow the layup at the other end. So help me out. What if Donovan chases the play? What if he just jumps right up and he runs pell-mell down the court after the ball?
Right.
He's not going to catch the ball because they got too much of a head start. What if he's down to, say, top of the circle, even 5 feet beyond the top of the circle on the other end of the floor? Rudy comes up with a rebound. Who's he going to look? Oh, it's Donovan. And maybe you're the guy who gets the ball with a couple of big, maybe 3 dribbles, and maybe you get to shoot the 30-foot jump shot to win the game. Okay, what does Donovan do? He just stands at the other end. He goes to the far 3-point line, and he waves. I'm open. Okay, Conley is completely across court. The clock is down to
He'll never get a shot
3,
off.
2, 1. Even if Conley baseball passes to him
never getting it
and
off.
throws him a strike in the shooting pocket, is he going to get that shot off?
Nope, absolutely not.
Mike Conley Jr. is 32 years of age. He's played in a ton of playoff games, many of them against my Spurs. He has been an extraordinary playoff player. He knows what the score is. He knows what, literally, you know, quote unquote, what he can get away with.
And Skip, to your point,
to
your point with Mike Conley, that's what was so surprising to me, because he's been in these big games and he normally plays well. For him to play like he played last night.
But you know, all year it's been going on. He has not lived up to his free agent contract the whole year. I mean, you look at, remember against the Spurs in 2017, we were obviously doing the show. They had a 6-game knockdown, drag-out battle. He averaged 25 a game, and I can't tell you how many times I sat back in my chair and said, he did it again. He made another. He'd make those floater runners. And I'd say, how did you do that?
With either hand.
Either hand. He's ambidextrous, and last night, he wasn't that guy. But all season long, he hasn't been that guy. So it degenerates into Mike Conley versus the Denver Nuggets, and I didn't want to see it. And the last play, fittingly or not so much, he dribbles up the floor, and he finally says, and his body clock is ticking, and he's thinking, I have no choice but to shoot this. And Jamal Murray didn't give up on the play on the other end, because if you see in the video, Jamal cuts across his face and does a decent job. See, Jamal got a hand up, and I think bothered it a touch. Just a touch.
And think about, Skip, because you remember now, Jamal Murray was the one that passed the ball to Torrey Craig. And so for him to race all the way back.
He did what Donovan did not do, because, again, it wasn't Jamal didn't blow the layup, so he had nothing to pout about, but his play did not work. And he turned and ran as hard as he could run, and he ran right across the bow of Conley Jr. And this is the guy, remember the pandemic horse tournament that was on that weekend, the first live sports that we got to watch? And Conley Jr. took everybody to school because he has his own gym, in Columbus, Ohio. And he's a trick shot artist. So when you said it left his hand, and I thought, that guy with that shot, it might be an E for the Nuggets, H-O-R-S-E. You might have an E on that shot. And the ball goes in, around, and out. And I don't know how you can make it go much farther down in the basket and still come back out than he did.
Because the thing is, Skip, you have to realize his momentum. So he's going towards the basket. Normally guys don't shoot threes going towards the basket. They normally just pull up. So his momentum is taking the ball. Because probably maybe if he's shooting stationary, who knows? He was cold last night, so he probably even misses it worse than what he ended up missing the shot. But because his momentum is taking it, so you have to take something off. But it looked good, because if you look at Donovan got his hands up. It looks good from where he's standing.
I didn't know if he had his hands up like I'm still open or it's good.
No, he's good. He wasn't getting that ball because, like you said, there's no way Rudy Gobert is like, well, you know what? Donovan didn't chase, so let me get this rebound. He should be at the three-point line on the other end. Let me heave it down there to him and get a shot. That's not what because Rudy Gobert doesn't know. He's dribbling, Skip. He's 7+. He's dribbling the ball, and then he's like, let me get this thing up to Conley. Okay. And Conley gets it and races ahead. Okay.
Even if Mike Conley had caught it and without dribbling it, had baseball passed it, which would be a difficult athletic play to pull off.
Yeah.
Could you throw a complete cross-court, sort of almost half the court baseball pass and hit Donovan in the shooting pocket so that he could just catch it and shoot it and get it off?
That's asking an awful lot, Skip. And plus, you have to understand, Mike Conley doesn't know that Donovan didn't chase. He's probably assuming that everybody, because like, how is he supposed to know? And Donovan ends up falling down also. So how does Conley know? Conley is like, okay, give me. He's looking for the ball. So he doesn't know where Donovan is.
Yep. Okay.
Skip, they shouldn't have put themselves in this predicament because when they had seized momentum in the fourth quarter, the Nuggets couldn't buy a basket. And I thought they were going to put some separation because I think they got it to maybe like 5, and then they would turn the ball over and they were started missing easy shots. Rudy Gobert played his butt off down the stretch. Oh. I don't know how much better he can play 19 and 18.
I don't think I've ever seen better from him.
Yes.
In urgency and effort.
Right.
And he actually played hard, where I usually see him just sort of go through the motions. Not that he just looks like he's got low energy to me, like low RPM.
And plus what hurt him, Skip, is that he got in foul trouble in the first half, and he went to the bench. And so the Nuggets just kept playing, just keeping the ball on that end because Plumlee, how many offensive rebounds did he get? Woo. I mean, it just seemed like they just couldn't get the ball. But once he came back in the second half, you see it was a different game. But, Skip, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I'm sure Donovan and Harris Jr. knows that Donovan wants to get to his strong hand. So even though he turned the corner with his left hand, what did he do? He automatically goes to his right hand. He pokes it out from behind, and then, he slides down. That's the thing. You just got to turn and run and hope. Just hope for the best. Who knows? Maybe you follow Jamal Murray, and maybe you punch it out, Skip, from the back.
Yep, I agree. So speaking of Plumlee, and by the way, he had 3 offensive. No, he didn't have. Did he have any offensive rebounds? It seemed like he had a bunch.
2.
Okay, he had 2. Speaking of Plumlee, Mason Plumlee.
Yep.
I got to get this off my chest. Late in the game, there's a play on which Rudy gets a dunk from Conley. It was a nice pass.
It was and
okay, and one.
I know what you're talking about.
I just got to get it off my chest because you have 3 high-quality playoff officials out there. How do you miss this?
That's an and one for sure.
It's like he hammers him in the face.
Yes.
And it was close to being flagrant.
Yes, you could have easily called it.
I think you could call that a flagrant.
Yes.
What if you reviewed it and said flagrant?
Yeah.
Okay, then now you've changed the whole dynamic of the game.
Absolutely. Because you get the ball back.
Yeah, and Rudy's like a 50% free throw shooter, but he had made 2 in a row, then he missed one on an and one. But what if he makes the free throw and they end up getting the ball back?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Well, I just don't, again, it tarnishes what was a tremendous, can't turn it off, wild finish to a game, maybe for the wrong reasons, but... They kind
of let him play down the stretch, though, Skip.
They did.
They kind of let him play.
Okay, but that's beyond letting.
Yeah, no, that was a foul. That's an and one. I'm not saying he makes it, but you're supposed to blow the whistle on that one. He slapped him in the face. Marcus Morris said, y'all called it on me. Y'all threw me out. Y'all gave me a flagrant, too.
That is true. Okay, so how impressed was I with Denver going forward against the Clippers? Well, just remember, to your point, your early point, 1 minute into the second half, they're up 19 points.
Yeah.
Utah's dead in the water.
Yeah.
Psychologically, they're just shot. They don't have their second scorer, Bogdanovich, as I told you yesterday, and it's like Donovan or bust. Conley Jr. has not lived up all year, and you're thinking, well, that's the end of that. I'm about ready to turn it off.
I said the same thing. My mind started wandering. I'm drifting. I'm thinking about something else. I'm flipping. I'm going through the channels now.
All of a sudden, Utah goes on a 32-10 run. 32-10. Denver totals 30 points in the second half, and they managed to hang on against a team that made only 8 of 34 threes, and the 34th, the miss, was the one that could have beaten you.
Right.
So that's how close you came to destruction.
The thing is, Skip, if you score 30 points in any half against the Clippers, you're going to be down 30.
I would hope so.
Oh, no. You can't play like this. Skip, I would, and not to get too far ahead, but if they had, home court, so you're going to play 2 games in Staples, and then you're going to go 2 games to Colorado, the Pepsi Center, I would say, you know what, because the Nuggets can get hot from 3, Skip, that crowd get into it,
I agree.
They would have an excellent chance. But in a situation like this, it's just basically you hear squeaky tennis shoes across the gym floor.
Yep.
I'm not giving them much of a chance. I don't even know if they'll give them the fight that the Mavericks gave them.
Yep.
Because they're just too inconsistent. Skip, you can't be up by 19 in a Game 7 and then find yourself down at some point in time in the fourth quarter by 5 points.
Yep. I got Clippers in 5, but let's tie a bow around these 2 young men who entertained us so spectacularly for 6 games. The first 6 games, Donovan Mitchell averages 39 points a game.
Right.
It's extraordinary.
Yes.
Jamal Murray averaged 34 a game, but in fourth quarters and overtime, he just took game after game completely over.
Yes.
It's been a long time since I've seen shootouts like these 2 staged for us for 6 games.
Right.
Game 7, not so much.
Right.
Both struggled. Both found this pressure, this expectation a little too much for their young careers.
But, Skip, if you look at it, both were about their season average. Donovan averaged 24.
Yep.
He got 22. Jamal Murray averaged 18. He got 17. And remember, you and I talked about this, is this budgeting superstar hot streak. We were like, this is a hot streak. Because, we could see if they were Jamal Murray was averaging, say he averaged 18 and he was getting 25, I was like, okay, Skip, that might be something. But 15 more than what you averaged in the regular season, Donovan was 15 more, 14, 15 more. Like, nah.
And finally, as much as I love Donovan, in the end, he had 9 turnovers, obviously including the last one.
And he's going to have turnovers, Skip, because he handled the ball so much.
I got it. But he totaled 1 assist. 9 turnovers to 1 assist.
No.
And it still came down to a Conley HORSE shot that lipped out.
Yep. And that's true. Skip, that's too many. You can't have 9 turnovers with 1 assist.
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, you got
almost won.
Yes. As bad as they played, as bad as they started the game, and as deep a hole as they dug themselves in, as you mentioned, they had a time with no time on a shot with no time on the clock to win the game. I said the Nuggets would win by 3. They won by 2.
Yeah, and you did predict 80 to 70.
No, I didn't predict that. No. I thought those 2 guys would have 80 between them.
No mercy. Well, how about this for confidence? Ezekiel Elliott feels really good about his team this season. Zeke told reporters on Monday night, quote, "This is probably the most talented team I've been on. Just look at the depth chart. Look at the roster. Look at how many Pro Bowlers, how many All-Pro guys we have out there." Shannon, any problem with Zeke saying this?
Yeah, come on. Bring it.
Yeah.
I dare you.
We hear this every year from the Cowboys. The last 2 years, what has Jerry and Steven said? This team stacks up favorably to my Super Bowl winning teams of the 90s. A team that had how many Hall of Famers? You had 3 on offense, you had 2, you had Charles Haley, and you had time on defense. So you had 5, you had 4 on offense. Larry Allen was also.
By the way, Darren Woodson.
Darren Woodson is right. Yeah, he finished in the top 15. So you have potentially 7 Hall of Famers every year. They said this last year. You had all this talent, and then you didn't make the playoffs. So how talented actually are you? Because every year I hear this from the Cowboys. Ooh, we loaded. Oh, man. Skip, I had a homeboy. He do this every time I see it. Sharpe, man, I got a dime piece. Ooh, whoa. Man, she's smoking. And I come back to him about 6 months later. Hey, man, what happened to that girl? Man, we ain't make it. So what good are you telling me all this? You got a dime piece.
That happens.
Exactly. And how many times do you hear teams say, boy, this is the most talented team I've been around. Woo, we loaded. We got this, we got that. Okay, is it going to equate, Skip, to, let's say, a division title, maybe a deep run, the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl? That doesn't do any good, Skip, having all this talent. At the end of the day, if it doesn't blossom into something fruitful. Man, I'm so tired of them. Man, they do all this talking. Skip, y'all do, you know what? I used to blame the fans because every year these fans, the Cowboys fans come out there with this bull jive. Oh, this is our year. Ooh, the Cowboys going to do it. Watch this. Super Bowl, here we come. I don't fault them anymore. I fault your owner and I fault your players because all y'all do is bump y'all gums every single year and you go 8-8. And that's what you do. You miss the playoffs. So I'm tired of y'all, Skip. Y'all need to stop this foolishness. And I bet I'm so sick of y'all with this mess, Skip. This is utterly ridiculous. Oh, we so talented. Oh, look at the depth chart. We got all these Pro Bowlers. We got all these All-Pros. And every year, 8-8. Win one game or win 2 games or your last 4. And you go to and you win the division. And you get a home playoff game. And you couldn't win but one. And you got to beat the pathetic Washington team. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I wouldn't even say nothing, Skip. I would keep my mouth closed. I would not even mention anything about talent. That's a shame. You know he's wrong for this.
My turn. I will give you this. The fans of America's team often lead the league in overreaction, in getting carried away, especially in August. Yeah. I will give you that.
Right.
I often join them. I get swept away with the tide. The rising tide of metallic blue. And I will give you this. They have lost Byron Jones, and they did lose Travis Frederick, and they just lost Gerald McCoy, a signee who I thought was going to be a pillar, a stalwart in the middle of that defensive line, and maybe a new leader of the defense. I will give you all of the above. The problem with the point you just made is you attributed getting carried away to Jerry and Stephen Jones, who often do get carried away. They get full of themselves. They get blinded. They see August mirages in the Texas heat. And I got that. But this was not Jerry. This was not Stephen. This was Ezekiel Elliott. And the irony of this statement is, if that man, number 21, can have, I'm going to call it a bounce-back year. You don't think he has anything to bounce back from?
Nope.
I do. He fell to 4th in the league in rushing last year.
Wow.
Well, for him, a guy who just perennially leads the league in yards per game, no, that was wrong. It was off, and I gave you that first down stat. He was 2nd in the league in carries on first down. He was 19th in yards per carry on first down. That's a capsule. That's the nugget. Speaking of Denver Nuggets, that's the one that says it all about last year's Cowboys, is that they tried to feed the beast on first down, and he went nowhere slowly. So if he can have a bounce-back year, then he is exactly right. It's not probably the most talented. It just is the most talented team that he has played on since his rookie year in 2016, when, by the way, they went 13-3 that year. In 2018, they went 10-6, and they actually beat Russell Wilson and the Seahawks in a playoff game. And now what has happened this year?
Yeah, what has happened?
How can you argue with the moves this team has made? How can you argue with Everson Griffin? He's a stud. He made the Pro Bowl last year, and they just stole him, signed him cheap with a Cam Newton-style contract.
So in other words, Minnesota would rather pay $13, $14 million for a guy and have to give up draft picks as opposed to sign the guy that they had on their roster and they've known for 7, 8 years.
Is he better than what we had last year? You better believe.
He better than Robert Quinn?
Yeah. And he plays different positions. I mean, he can play inside and outside both. They can move him around.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he is.
Okay.
I think he's more dependable. I think he moves the pile better than Robert Quinn.
Okay.
Robert Quinn's pure edge rusher, and he did benefit from double teams on the other side of that guy who didn't have much of a year, but that guy...
So now he double teams. So 21... as you tell me all the time, we're going to talk about this a little later, the really great ones, they play through double teams.
Did I ever say D-Law was Lawrence Taylor? I did not. He did not exactly lay down the law last year from the left side of the line, and maybe he will this year, because I still believe Aldon Smith, albeit 5 years out of pro football, I think he's going to have an impact this year. I think Dontari Poe will anchor the middle of that line. And listen, I kept telling you, they stole Neville Gallimore. When he was at OU, he just disrupted from the defensive tackle. He'll be in the rotation, and Bradley and I, you watch, out of Utah, watch him fly off the edge and make a few plays a game as a spot edge rusher. They're just better. They're deeper. They're more talented. And this draft class, I called it first. I first guessed this. They got CeeDee Lamb on top of Amari, on top of Michael Gallup, and all the raves out of camp. CeeDee Lamb is already emerging as the best of the three, and I predicted it. I told you he's going to be better than Amari or Gallup. I think you'll see it sooner than later. Within the first 6-8 games, you're going to see CeeDee Lamb take over this team.
You won't.
Okay? Well, they're just better. All of a sudden, it lifts everything.
Skip.
Rising tide lifts all boats. All the boats are going to be lifted off because of CeeDee Lamb.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In the last decade, how many evaluators, how many opposing coaches have ever said the Cowboys aren't talented? Talent has never been their problem.
Okay.
It's falling below expectation has been. It's the thing what I keep telling you. What is the biggest determining factor is that it's expectations. And if they have that because they are so talented, is that they fail to meet those expectations because, as you mentioned, offensive line that's potentially littered. They got 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen. Ty Smith, Zach Martin, Hall of Famers. You got a potential Hall of Famer at running back. You got guys that go to the Pro Bowl almost every year at wide receiver. And what has it got you, Skip?
This is real talent. This is talent with electricity attached to it. Trevon Diggs is a stud corner. Again, I don't love him as straight man-to-man, but he gets his hands on the ball. Byron Jones picked off 2 passes in 5 years, 1 in 16 and 1 in 17.
Well, he might not pick it off, but he don't let the other guy catch it.
Okay, I'll give you that. But you need electricity. You need playmaking on defense. And Trevon Diggs, as the younger brother of Stephon, who's now a Buffalo Bill, watch what he'll do. He'll step right in and he will get his hands on the football. So will Reggie Robinson. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at a draft class that has juice to it. It has mystique to it. It's going to grow where they're all excited about it. They're going to excite the rest of the team. And then Look at Blake Jarwin. I think he's really talented, but he had to play in the shadow of the guy you said you could outrun. And what did I think about Jason Witten at the end? Yeah, he could turn and catch a 5-yard pass, but it was 5 yards in a cloud of dust. And that was the end of that. Yeah. So Blake Jarwin can fly. So he's going to emerge as a much better. He's got a little bit of wideout in him, and I think you're going to see that down the field.
But Skip, look at your roster over the last quarter century. Skip, you've had talent.
Okay.
You make it seem like all of a sudden you've accumulated this. You had Tony Romo. You've had receivers going to the Pro Bowl. Yep. You've always had offensive linemen. You had Hotel Adams. You had Big Leonard Davis. You had all these guys. You had Marion the Barbarian. You had DeMarco Murray. You had Jason Witten in his prime. Yep. You had T.O. in his prime. You had the singing cowboy Roy Williams. You had Roy Williams on defense. You always had this.
Ancient history. It's a new day in Big D.
It's the same day. It's the same Cowboys.
By the way, we got the best backup quarterback in pro football in Andy Dalton.
Oh,
that's got to count something.
You used to kill Andy Dalton.
Well, not now.
Yeah, exactly.
How about his first 5 years? He averaged 10 wins a year. I'll take that. Just in case.
They dubbed the man Red Rifle. You called him Cap Gun. Now he's on your roster, and you love Andy Dalton.
And I'm going to close this case by telling you, they got Greg the Leg. That's a huge addition. Greg Zuerlein from the Rams, along with Fossil's kid that you know. Didn't you watch him grow up?
I did watch him grow up.
All right, so you got a new special teams coordinator, and he's got juice to him and electricity.
Yeah,
he's going to enliven things. And this kicker is a top 5 kicker. I know he had a little bit of an off year last year, but Brett Maher, as I called him, Brett the Fret, statistically the worst kicker in football last year, and I can make the case he at least cost him 2 games.
Well, here's the thing with Maher, Skip. He made a bunch of kicks that didn't matter. Remember, he had a couple of those 60-yarders to end the half, but it didn't matter. Okay. When you needed him to make a 40-yarder to tie you or potentially give you extended lead, he didn't do that. But, Skip, to say the Cowboys that haven't been talented when you look at what they've had over the last quarter century is not true. They've been talented. They've been very talented, but they failed to meet expectations because you know why? Because what transpired in the 90s, and you think that's coming along again, you had something special. You had Troy, you had Emmett, you had Playmaker. You had Larry Allen. Those are all Hall of Famers. And with the exception of Michael, all of them was first ballot. Then you had Haley, and you had Time, and you had Woodson. So don't pretend like you didn't have talent.
Okay, I am not saying these are the 90 Cowboys all
That's
over
what Jerry and Steve said, and not you.
That was last year, and I laughed at it also because they were not. That's absurd. That's blind overreaction in August seeing mirages.
Right.
This team is clearly more talented than last year's team, and it's more talented than 2016 or 2018. I just detailed it for you.
But, Skip, here's the thing. You had a young Ty Smith that had no back problems. You had a young Zach Martin with no knee problems. Those are your two best. Those guys are going to be Hall of Famers. They had no issues. Now, Ty's on the injury report seemed like every other week with a back. Zach Martin is missing practice time because of the knees. So, and now you're pinning all your hopes on a guy. And I hope he does well. I hope Smith comes back and does well. But come on, Skip. You know what y'all do? The Cowboys can sign a guy with a walking cane. And, boy, he going to make a big addition because he'll knock the ball down with the cane. Y'all need to stop. Y'all go overboard. Y'all sign one guy. Oh, he going to turn it around. Oh, yeah. Watch him. Watch what he does with us.
Alden Smith is going to be hitting quarterbacks over the head with his walking cane. You watch. You watch.
Skip.
This team has new firepower. What was the problem last year? It wasn't the offense. They led the whole league in yards.
Yes.
They led the league.
What was the
defense was the problem, and the kicking game was the problem.
Skip, the problem is it's not how good your offense or defense is. When you need something to get done, can they do it?
They did.
So when you needed a drive at the end of the game to get you into overtime or to win the game, you couldn't do it. So how good is your offense? That's the mark of a great team or a great unit. Can you get done when you need to?
I told you my quarterback came up small in those situations at New England and at Philadelphia. And then you campaigned for my quarterback to be paid $42 million.
Well, how about this here? Well, if he's as talented as Zeke, he should have got 52. Because Zeke said it's the most talented team he's been a part of. And you tell me the quarterback is the best player. Of all this talent, you've been telling me for 4 years he's the best player. So should he be the highest paid on the team by a long margin?
Is he better than Mahomes?
See, there you
That's it.
No.
And by the way, final caveat to this, I still believe that Jerry Jones is going to pull a rabbit out of his hat named Earl Thomas. I believe they'll sign Earl Thomas to go with Clinton Dix, another new safety, and here we go.
All I know is I saw something last night. I saw Mahomes and them get rings. I saw even Mahomes' girlfriend get a ring.
Good.
When last time the Cowboys got a ring? I mean, everybody getting rings, Jenny, except the Cowboys.
I heard Zeke bought a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah. Big fan of that ring that Mahomes gave out. I had to look at it a couple times. That was impressive. Maybe some rings in the Cowboys' future, Shannon.
Yeah, whatever.
Skip, be confident.
The doorbell ring, that's the only ring they get.
Moment. I want to go back to the bubble because we got another Game 7 tonight, and there's nothing better. Chris Paul and the Thunder have a chance to upset James Harden and Russell Westbrook. This, of course, after the Rockets traded CP3 for Westbrook last summer. So, Skip, in your opinion, who's easier to root for, Chris Paul or Harden and Westbrook?
This is a very difficult question for me because it boils down to, quote unquote, the lesser of evils. All three players obviously have some career flaws on their resume.
Right.
Obviously, James and Russ have had big playoff flameouts. See Russ in Game 6. And it's happened many times before, and it's happened to James too many times before. So I get that. But I find them more easy to root for right now because of what those two have done together this year. I believe that they love to love each other, and it's legit. I think it's authentic that they have actually sacrificed for each other, that they have actually shown some unselfishness to each other that they have never shown before in any way, shape, or form in their previous incarnations with other teammates. So I appreciate the fact, like James will defer to Russ to a fault. And I don't think it's because he doesn't want the pressure or the expectation. I just think they have a real bond.
Right.
So I root for that. Because they're trying. They're trying to find a niche where the two of us together can figure out how to actually win playoff games.
Right.
They didn't do it in Game 6. They better do it tonight or all hell's going to break loose in Houston.
Yeah.
It's going to cost D'Antoni his job. It's going to cause huge.
Well, you can't break the team up.
Hey,
because you trading you. Well, I mean, what you going to trade? I mean, Russ got a contract making almost $50 million a year. James Harden. Well, you're not trading James because he's your foundation piece. So what are you going to trade? What are you going to get rid of? You don't have any bigs. You traded Capella.
You might get rid of that GM. He's high profile and he's mad scientist, and he keeps throwing a new group together like a new chemistry experiment.
He threw some stuff. He stepped in it earlier this year.
That's another point that we could talk about later. All right. This is just me on Chris Paul III, CP3. I have always found him a little difficult to root for because too many times, wherever he's been in previous incarnations, he has fallen into feuds and then fallen apart with a co-star. It was Blake Griffin with the Clippers, and it's shameful how those teams underachieved under Doc because it was Chris and Blake, and it was DeAndre, and it was J.J. Redick, and it was Austin Rivers, obviously, and it was Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, Big Baby.
Matt Barnes and Big Baby. That team should have gone places, and it didn't. And in the end, it degenerated into CP3 versus Blake. Then Chris goes to Houston, and what happened? He and James began to irritate each other until they fell completely apart. So I believe in the end, from what I've heard, it's often a little more Chris's fault than the other co-star's fault. He's just hard to handle. But if you give him a New Orleans Hornets team back in 05, 06, 07, in that period. Young team where they just follow his lead against my Spurs in that 05 plus. He was extraordinary. They were afraid of him. They thought he was like a pit bull masquerading as an NBA point guard. And he was hard to handle on and off the court, but it didn't matter because he was the leader of the team. And I said the other day, this year for Chris Paul in Oklahoma City, it's the best year of his career. Yeah. But he was the unquestioned leader of a team that just sort of got thrown spare parts together. Right. They're all from someplace else. Right. And they're mainly waiting for the draft choices to kick in the future. But look at them. They tied Houston in the regular season in record. Right. Okay, that'll work.
Yes.
So in the end, if you give him a team that he is the unquestioned leader where he doesn't have to feud with another co-star, he's great.
Right.
He's been not good. He's been great as the leader of the Players
He's been unbelievable.
And I think the edge that he plays with has helped him in that position because that's a hard job, and you have to fight for the right.
Right.
You know, you have to go to the mat with owners for various things, and he has done that.
Yeah, I think the thing is for me, Skip, is that when I look at him in that role, it's kind of like the role because he has to fight for the underdog. He ain't fighting for LeBron. LeBron gonna get his money. He ain't fighting for Giannis and KD and James Harden. They're gonna get their money. But what about the guys that's never gonna be that? And I look at Chris Paul, Skip. You look at him, Chris Paul, and they say he's 6 foot. Okay, 5'11"-ish. So he's always constantly having to fight for his place and get his recognition because the point guard is not, unless you Magic. How much love is the point guard, because he's an old school point guard like Magic, how much love you going to get? Now, had he won a championship, it's a different story. Skip, I find myself rooting for these guys all for different reasons. I root for James Harden because I'm thinking every time I watch him, I'm going to see something special. I'm going to see a 50-point triple-double. I'm going to see him drop 60. I'm going to see him hit some threes that nobody else would even attempt to take, let alone take and make. I watch Russ. I expect to see all-out hustle. Everything is a 400-meter run, and he's going all out, back and forth for 40 minutes, and I'm going to see a triple-dub, and I might see something that no one thought would ever going to happen since Wilt did it, a 20-20-20 ball game from a 6'3" point guard. He got 20 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists in a game, Skip. And when I watch CP3 play, I'm like, he's the ultimate leader. He's the type of guy who would have been great in the military because he can get guys to follow him. He can get guys to believe in him, Skip. And I think the thing is that all of them are trying to want their place because, Skip, if a guy doesn't win a championship, we don't want to rightfully give them the credit they deserve. Because, well, how good is he? He ain't win no championship. Like, that's easy. Like, Skip, if everybody were to win a championship, would the championship be as valuable if everybody can get it? No. So that's what makes it special because you have to go through things in order to get that. And Chris Paul really has he really played with what we would think is another transcendent or a generational talent? No, he has not. So let's be real. Blake Griffin could jump out the gym and all that, and he's expanded his ability to shoot the three. But we don't think it's Blake as a he ain't AD. He's not KD. He's not Kawhi. So he hasn't played. He ain't D Wade. He hadn't. So the guys that have won championships in this era has played with another great player that we would say at least is a generational talent, if we not say transcendent. But I believe Kevin Durant is a transcendent player. We haven't seen anybody. I mean, I think we're going to talk about him a little later. So for me, Skip, I root for all these guys for a different reason, unless you know they play and you know who. And then all of them can get the boot.
Okay, back to your statement. Chris Paul is the ultimate leader. Obviously, the leader of the Players Association. How can you be the ultimate leader if you have a career-long reputation for cheap shots and dirty play? Seriously, I got to ask, because people don't bring this up enough. Chris Paul has a long-time reputation and almost a legacy for weird below-the-belt shots that started back in 2005 in the ACC tournament, Wake Forest versus NC State, Julius Hodge, if we could see this one, and Chris got suspended for the next game in the ACC tournament, and he just pops him right in the privates. There he is. Boom.
I think that's an accident.
I don't think
Has it happened since?
Whoops. Down he goes. Down goes Frazier. Okay, so that was the first instance.
That's not a good look. That's not a good look. I give you that.
It was not a good look. And then I was watching this game live. It's the closeout game at Memphis versus Clippers in 2013. The game is out of hand and over. It's 2:29 to go. And all of a sudden, Chris Paul just loses his mind and gets a running start and cheap shots Marc Gasol. And just, I think he aimed at the midsection, but he got him more up in the chest. I'm not sure. A lot of people thought it was aimed lower, but Gasol sort of winced and flinched and ducked. And I was like, what are you doing? Sometimes he plays with such rage that he just decides, I'm going to go cheap shot somebody.
You know, when you're a small guy, and people take advantage of you.
I got it.
Because people think you're small, they can just run over you. And you're like, Marc Gasol probably did something to him earlier in the night. We don't know.
It's highly possible.
Yeah.
Even in this series, OKC versus Houston, he's had a couple where it just looked like a blatant...
He got rust the other night, I think.
I popped you in the privates, man. I got you right in the privates. It's just, it's his go-to move when he gets frustrated. He just pops people in the privates. And I'm like, how could... You're Chris Paul. You're Hall of Fame bound. You can't do that.
No, you couldn't, and you shouldn't, Skip. But to your point, all of these guys, as great as they've been in the regular season, has had some shortcomings in the playoffs. We remember that Game 6 with James Harden. He had like 12, 14 turnovers. And he still had the game on his hand, and he dribbled it off his foot out of bounds. And we saw Russ come up smaller. We've seen CP3, it's been more because of injury, Skip. It's like they got Golden State dead to right.
Okay.
And then he hurts his hamstring.
And that's happened a couple times.
And he hurts his groin.
All right.
So, Skip, it's because of the shortcomings. And you know, people look at Russ, oh, man, he's selfish, he won't pass. Kevin Durant leaves him and goes and wins championships, and everybody's like, man, that was Russ' fault. Russ should have conceded and let KD do whatever he want. But, Skip, I mean, the man got there. I mean, he wasn't a high recruit coming out. He got to where he got with that mindset, and it served him well. But sometimes the thing that makes us great is our biggest flaw.
Yep.
And James, I mean, I'm watching James. I'm disappointed when he only scores 30 points because he does it so effortlessly. I'm like, bro, you could have got like 40 tonight. And so that's what I'm expecting. I root for these guys all for different reasons. But I mean, I like them all, except when they don't go. I mean, the others are two in that picture right there. We got some courtesy of them, so I got to love them.
Okay. Last quick point about CP3. I believe over his career, he's gotten some pass from fans because of his State Farm commercials, because they are so good. And they plant subliminal seeds in fans' mind that he's a really great guy because that's how he's portrayed. And he's really good at, I mean, he's just
Cliff is a great guy.
But he comes across so well. And there was the whole theme of Cliff Paul and Chris Paul.
Right.
And it's like Chris has some Cliff in him. You know, he's got a little bit, but he seems like such a nice guy. In the end, and this is part of his toughness and edge he plays with, I don't think he's a nice guy. In the end, I don't think he's that guy in the commercial.
I mean, you see the man destroying his house and trying to get in on his using his identity, and he didn't let it go.
He just lets it go.
Just let it go.
Guy.
But Skip, let's be real. Let's be 1,000. When have we ever gone into a season and say the team Chris Paul's on, they're favored to win the title?
Well, when did we go into this season thinking his team would even make the playoffs?
I give you that.
Nobody.
And that's the thing, Skip. You got to give him some credit for that.
I do, and I do. He's had a terrific year, and I think they're in a great spot tonight because they are 5.5-point underdogs, and nobody really expects them to win this, and they got a real shot.
I believe the pressure's on those two.
It's all on those two.
For sure.
Everything's on those two. And that coach and that GM, it's all riding on 5.5-point favorite, Game 7. Here we go.
Yep.
Can't wait to see how Game 7 unfolds tonight. Looking forward to it.
No mercy.
In LeBron's 17th season, he is averaging a triple-double through the first round of the playoffs. Lakers head coach Frank Vogel was asked if the league takes LeBron's ability for granted. Vogel responded with, quote, "I think the media and maybe the fans are taking it for granted, but we don't take it for granted in-house here. Our coaching staff, front office, and his teammates, we all really understand and appreciate how special his performances are and what he brings to the table." So, Shannon, do you agree that LeBron is taken for granted by the media and by the fans?
I don't know if it's so much by the fan. I think the biggest thing is, Skip, is that LeBron has played basically his entire career in a social media age. It would have been very interesting to see had some of the other greats, the Michael Jordans, the Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, some of the other greats, Skip, because before the social media age, unless you were on television, unless you were on radio, you didn't have a platform to say he's good or he isn't. Now you got 2 billion Facebook followers or people on Facebook. You got another 2 billion on IG and Twitter. And so everybody has a platform to say, and they can get things trending. You hashtag this, this or that, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what, you're right. But I think the thing is, Skip, people that understand and know the game of basketball, that follow it closely, realize that what we're watching, even for his greatness, is not normal, especially at his age, especially with the amount of minutes that he's played, the amount of games that he's played. You realize that what he's doing is not normal. Because last week he had a game where it was 30, 10, and 5. He shot 80% from the floor and from the three-point line. And then he averaged a triple in year 17. He's averaging a triple-double for the first round of the series. There's only been done twice. And he did it both times. So I think the thing is, Skip, you do start to take things for granted because of his greatness, and you just have a level of expectation. It's kind of like parents. You expect them, when you say, I want some candy, to get it. I want ice cream, to get it. That ain't always exactly how it was in Mary Porter's house. But I'm saying, Skip, there's a level of expectation that you have that you're going to get certain things. And I think the thing is you take for granted because he's been doing it at this level for such a long time. You're talking about 16 straight years in which he's averaged 25 or more points. Let that sink in. He's never averaged less than 20 points in the season. And the fewest amount of assists he's had in the season is 5.9. Let that sink in. He's in year 17. So I think the thing is, Skip, fans can take this for granted because you're like, well, he do this all the time. But I don't think people that have followed the game and that's covered those guys and before, I think they understand what he's doing is unusual, very unique. But I don't take it for granted because I know he's special.
So I'm not sure what your answer is. He is being taken for granted by most people?
By people in the social media age, I believe a lot of the fans take it for granted. You just hate. So you don't take it for granted. I just hate what you got. Me, I understand. I appreciate it. And I know what he's doing, especially at this age. I'm at any age. What I'm talking about at that age. 25, 10, and 8 is good at any age. 22, 25, 30. At 35 is unbelievable. You might not ever see it again. So you better watch it. Skip, that's what I did. I went outside in 1986 because Mr. Prentice Burkhalter, rest his soul, I was in the 6th grade. He said, Haley's Comet's coming. Skip, I remember looking up in the sky because I didn't know if I was going to be around another 77 and 1/3 year to see it come again. I watch him every time he come on TV because I don't know if I'll ever see that again.
And every night that LeBron James plays a basketball game, it's like the world sees Halley's or Halley's Comet once again. It's like it passes over every time he even plays Portland in a playoff game. I'm sorry, somebody has to tell some truth about this man.
I just told it.
He is all-time great, obviously. He does have some flaws that get swept under that little rug you have over there, such as free throw shooting. They're called free throws.
You gonna nitpick that?
Is that nitpick? That's a huge part of a man's repertoire and ultimately his legacy, and he is poor at that.
That's what Shaq, what did Shaq say? Shaq said, yeah, I'm a poor free throw shooter, but I make them when they count.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's talk about that, because this is the worst late game, clutch game free throw shooter in the history of stars in this league is LeBron James, and I appreciate you bringing that up. This man is nightly idolized, canonized, deified beyond comprehension by what Kevin Durant referred to as LeBron's quote-unquote media fanboys, and there are many of them out there. And I get it because he is bread and butter for this league. It's like Tiger was when Tiger was really on top in golf. The golf media rooted for Tiger because he's actually making their jobs, he's keeping them afloat. He's the reason they get to go to the British Open every year because everybody's interested. What's Tiger going to do in the British Open?
Tiger versus the field.
Okay, you got it. So in this case, I have had to sit and watch this man across from me wear goat masks during a first-round playoff series against a team called the Trailblazers, who often trailed in that series. And the Trailblazers wound up 37-43, and you're goat masking games that LeBron plays against that sorry team and its sorry defense.
But that was the same sorry team that some of the all-time great players had picked to beat LeBron James. And you jumped on the bandwagon, and Jenny, if I'm not mistaken, you quoted me what they were saying. And some of the guys you said I have so much respect for.
What was my prediction? Sweep. It was a joke. It was a sweep, and it should have been a sweep, and you know it, and I know it.
No.
Yes.
We needed ratings.
Oh,
yeah, we got to let it say.
Oh, so you just gave them the first game?
Yeah, we got to give a game. Make it interesting.
Okay.
Because, Skip, think about it. We've been off for a week now. If we'd have swept them, we'd have been off for like 13 days.
Okay, I'll take that. I need LeBron back. I'm missing him. I agree with
exactly.
you. He's the most interesting man in the history of sports. There's always some subtext, some subplot. There's always drama around the Drama King every night. I get you that. Drama. And yet, in game one of this series against Portland, he's got the basketball in his hands with a 6-point lead with 7 minutes to go against the sorry Trailblazers.
Oh, they're sorry now.
They're just sorry.
They're in the playoffs.
They came in 4 games under 500 to the bubble, and they exited 6 games under 500. It's not. You have to put it in, what's your favorite word? Context.
Yeah, it was context. Hot team. The hottest team. You told me that's the hottest team. Everybody say, if they play, and even you said, if they play the Blazers with Dame and CJ, they get Nurkic back and Whiteside, Melo. Now all of a sudden we blow the doors off them, and now they're terrible.
LeBron James' team got outscored 19-6 down the stretch of game one, and yet LeBron James, the GOAT, quote-unquote, says you, has the basketball in his hand, and he gets a wide-open three-point shot to cut it to 2 points with 30 seconds left, and he LeBricks.
Skip, if you only can talk about a man in 17 years, and you only going to go back to the game and says, okay, well, he missed late game free throw. Skip, everybody's missed a free throw. Larry Bird has missed a free throw. Michael Jordan has missed a free throw.
Not like this man has consistently, routinely missed late game.
I tell you what, and also, they haven't consistently and routinely been in the finals like this man either. So since you're talking about consistently and routinely.
You're right. He cakewalked through the East. 8 straight times he cakewalked through the East. Now let's see if he can cakewalk through the West.
You see? What you need to talk about cakewalk.
Yep.
He does something, it's a cakewalk. He doesn't do anything. See, great failure.
It was cakewalking.
You got to get it. At some point in time, you're going to sit back. You're going to be in your rocking chair. You'll probably move back to Oklahoma. You and Ernestine, and you'll be drinking lemonade, sitting in your rocking chair.
We're sticking right here. We will retire here, and it's not going to come anytime soon.
You'll be sitting there, Ernestine. You know what? And you'll probably write a tell-all talking about, you know what, I should have gave this man his flowers while he was playing.
Really?
I didn't do that. Yeah, that's what you're going to do.
I don't see that coming. Maybe you know my future better than I do. So what happened in the game you just raved about? It was the closeout game 5.
Yeah.
And you throw out all those numbers. He went mistrip dub.
Yes,
He did this and that.
Did he do that?
The Trailblazers were down to 8 bodies. They had 8 men left on their bench. There was no Damian Lillard, and Whiteside had his pinky finger dislocated in game 5. And you're goat masking it. You're raving about that. And do you realize with 6:52 left in the game, in the fourth quarter, the score was tied?
Yeah.
That's shameful.
And then guess what we do? We stepped on the gas.
Stepped on the gas. Way to go.
That's the gear that we have.
Oh,
you know, now, because you remember, at first there were only 3 speeds, then they went to 4 speed, then they went to 5 speed, and now they got cars with 6 speeds, right? You got one with a 6 speed, right?
7.
So you got 7 speeds now. So now you get that, you can really step on the gas and just disappear from everybody.
I never even put it in 7th gear. There's no need.
That's what
If I put it in 7th gear, I'm going to the moon.
That's
Seriously.
LeBron. LeBron stepped on the gas and didn't even get out of 3rd gear. So he got 3 more to go. And I got a sneaky suspicion that you're probably going to see those extra couple of gears in the next round.
Good. I'll be watching. Show me.
No, you'll be hating.
I say what I see.
You'll be watching and hating because you know what? He'll average a triple-double against the Rockets, and you're going to say, the Rockets, their tallest man is much taller than I am. Okay, then he'll beat the Clippers. Well, the Clippers were, half of them didn't want to be in there, and they was talking about leaving, and sweet lemon pepper Lou went. And you're going to make I already know you, Skip.
I got Clippers over Lakers. I've had it all year, and I'm sticking by it, and I will not flip that script. All I know is that in the end, I have to sit over here every day and hear, oh, he passed Michael Jordan in scoring. And the point is, I give you this. He's Iron Man. There's never been anything like him. He had one little groin pull in 17 years.
And you wrote him off. And a lot of people wrote him off.
Okay, so he's now 2nd overall in all-time minutes played. That's extraordinary. He's 1st in postseason minutes played. What do you think's going to happen? Just on duration, he's going to achieve records. They're longevity records. No. He's going to keep passing people just because he's playing more games.
No, but here's the thing about a collector. Okay, yeah, you can accumulate a lot, but what is it that you're accumulating? What is it worth? Look at Jerry Seinfeld. He likes Porsches, but he just ain't got no run-of-the-mill Porsches. He got them old things that go back $3, $4, $5 million.
Like 50 cars.
Exactly. Okay. So LeBron James, you talk about, he got the most minutes, but he got a lot of other things. The most 30-point games in playoff history. The most points in playoff history. He's number 2 in 3-point field goals made in playoff history.
Longevity. Say it. Longevity.
Hold on. So LeBron James has played the most games. He's played the most seasons in NBA history. Now, I know a couple of guys off the top of my head. Robert Parrish played 22 years. Kareem played 20 years. Kobe played 20 years. I know Karl Malone played 19 years. I know a lot of guys that played.
All that matters. LeBron James has now played 258 more games than Michael Jeffrey Jordan. 258 more. He's played 10,282 more minutes than Michael Jordan.
Well, we took better care of ourselves.
10,000 more minutes.
Well, guess what we didn't do? We didn't spend all our time on the golf course. We weren't in the casino, and we weren't drinking that brown liquor. We celebrate. We take care of ourselves.
Smoking cigars.
Don't worry about what we smoking. We had a nice stick last night, sitting on our deck listening to our beats. Yeah, had our little beat pill box.
Were you there?
No. See, there you go. All that's unnecessary.
Did he give you another miniature LeBron?
He didn't give me that. I ordered it.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, Skip, at some time, you're going to have an appreciation for what you're watching because you probably won't see it again. You probably won't see this combination, mailman size, Magic Johnson's ability to play make, and he can score. He can score 27 points a game, says he can score.
And he's 3-6 in the finals. Who'd have thunk it? I don't know.
Man, ain't no telling what he'd had if he'd had a prime shot or he'd had KD. Ain't no telling what it'd been. He might have been 12-0 in the finals.
Ain't no telling how many points he could score this year if he got to play Portland every round of the playoffs. Maybe he'll figure that out. Maybe they'll pass legislation. You get to play your first-round opponent all 3 rounds of the West. Then you're good.
Skip, let this sink in for a second. How many points did you say Donovan Mitchell averaged in this series? Like 36?
Wasn't it 39?
No, he was at before last night. So I think he ended up averaging 34 points a game, 35 points a game.
39 a game in the first 6.
First 6.
Yeah.
And he had 20, so he's probably averaging 36. Did you know LeBron James averaged 34, 9, and 9 for an entirety of a playoff? Not just in one series, not in one round. For the entirety of the playoffs,
Really?
he was 34, 9, and 9.
Really? Did you know Michael Jordan won 10 scoring titles to LeBron's 1?
That ain't what we do, Skip.
Oh.
What we do,
you just said that's what you do.
No, we can't. No.
What are you talking about?
I said we can.
Oh.
We can score with the best of them. Hence, that's why we got more points.
Really?
Yeah, we got more points than him. We got more points than him.
Did you know Michael Jordan went 6-0 in the finals with 6 MVPs?
I know before he got an All-Star, he got bounced in the first round 3 times. Something we don't even know nothing about. As a matter of fact, David Stern just passed the rule. LeBron James get to skip the first round because it's automatic. He going to the second round anyway.
Nope. That's not how it works.
That's not how it works. That's what he used to do at Wimbledon.
Friday to see him again. It feels like he's been off for way too long.
No mercy.
The Saints kick off the season right here on Fox against Tom Brady and the Bucs, but there are conflicting reports coming out of New Orleans about Alvin Kamara. Initial reports said that Kamara was holding out over contract issues this week. Shortly after that, an additional report said the Saints were seeking to trade the running back. And to add to the unknown, the latest one said that Kamara's absence was not over a contract dispute, but that he had to receive an epidural in his back, which kept him sidelined for a few days. Shannon, this is all over the place. How will it end?
Well, I think the thing is, Alvin Kamara wants a contract, Skip. You look at his numbers, it says he's justified in seeking a new contract. He's still on his rookie contract. He saw Christian McCaffrey get $16 million. He sees Zeke Elliott making $15 million. He just saw Derrick Henry get about 10 to $12 million a year. And he's like,
Joe Mixon
just, right. And so he's like, hold on, wait a minute. I've gone to 3 straight Pro Bowls.
Yep.
I got 2,000 yards rushing, 2,000 yards receiving. I can do a little bit of everything. And y'all want me to play on this. All this is the Saints leaked all this information trying to get him to sign the contract that they have on the table for him. Because, Skip, they got almost $250 million already committed in 2021. And so but Alvin Kamara's looking and say, hold on, wait a minute. Y'all mean to tell me y'all paying Taysom Hill $16 million a year for 6 plays a game? And y'all got me out here 30 plays a game and y'all think I'm about to make $2.1 million? I wish I might. Y'all better come on and break bread and talk to me seriously. Yeah, nobody had to know about this. His agent didn't tell the media about this. He didn't tell the media about this. This is the Saints leaked this information, trying to make Kamara look bad, trying to box him in and say, this is the contract we're offering, take it or leave it, or we'll trade you. Knowing, Skip, ain't nobody giving up no number 1 pick for a running back. You know that, Skip. The value of the running back has been decreased because, for the most part, you're sharing the load.
Yep.
You get a guy like Christian McCaffrey that plays the lion's share of the game, or you get Saquon. But for the most part, the backs are sharing the load. And they're not giving backs. So he's like, this is my last chance to get a big deal, Skip. Because they're not like running backs. They're not like quarterbacks and receivers, Skip. You get a contract and then another contract. This is it. After this contract, running backs play for minimum wage. And what I mean by that, Skip, is minimum salary. They're not getting no more $7, $8 million a year in year 9, year 10. Yep. That ain't happening. So Kamara says, look, my value is high right now. Let me get this money. Y'all need to come on, Saints. Now, y'all paying everybody else. Come see your boy.
I like him a lot.
I do, too.
We had him on the show.
He from the crib.
I got you. ATL.
Yep.
I judge people, as you know, good heart, bad heart. He's got a big good heart.
He does.
And he's obviously a supremely talented young man because he can catch it and run with it as well as he can just run with it. In fact, sometimes I think he's a better receiver than just a pure running back. So I'm bullish for him to get his money. But there was one detail that Jenny read that I got to harp on. Epidural steroid injection last Thursday. You've had them. I've had too many of them. I had one not too long ago. They're no fun, number one, and they're bad signs, number two, because they're usually just a Band-Aid on a troubling condition in your back that will probably not subside. I'm going to guess he's got a back issue that is troubling him as we speak, because he missed practice, maybe to hold out, quote unquote, but probably because he had a legitimate reason not to practice, because his back is balking.
Or, Skip, he might say, well, you know what? Hey, let me go to get this epidural. I don't really need it, but I take it just in case, put some pressure on y'all.
I don't know anybody in the world who would take an epidural steroid injection for nothing.
Oh, I'd take it for $14 million.
Would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I'd have to think hard about that.
I ain't thinking. I already thought about it. Put the money in the account.
Sometimes they accidentally hit the wrong nerve. I can speak to this.
Yes.
And you are miserable for a couple of years.
You ain't got to explain it to me, but you know what? It's amazing how $14 million is the Band-Aid for misery.
Last year, I believe his back troubled him through the year because all the numbers fell off. And I'm sure it's troubling to the Saints because yards per carry, yards per catch, everything went down, down, down. He lasted 14 games out of 16. Not bad. But I think he was hobbled. I think he was slowed by whatever this condition is. Is it going to be chronic? Is it going to plague him as we've seen it plague other players through their careers?
Well, Skip, for me, I look at it like I think it had a lot to do with Drew Brees because they changed the way they played the game when Teddy Bridgewater came in there. Now, although they won all the games that Teddy played, it's different. Teams do not fear Teddy. Teams did not fear Teddy Bridgewater like they do Drew Brees.
That's fair.
And so I think with Drew Brees, it opens up more. I think if Drew Brees can stay healthy, I think we'll see the old Alvin Kamara, the rookie of the year, Alvin Kamara in the year out. I think we'll see that guy come back.
So, speaking of talented teams, a lot of evaluators think that team is the most talented, top to bottom, on paper team in the NFL.
Well, I know they win in the NFC South. I know who's not winning that division. Don't we, Skip?
We do not.
Yes, we do.
This is actually good news for that team in Tampa Bay right now.
Y'all got a lot of fish to fry.
Yep.
You need to worry about the Falcons too.
We don't eat fried food.
You need to worry. You need to worry about the Falcons.
Right.
And you need to worry about Drew Brees on a mission. He said this might be my last year. I need to go out like Strahan. I need to go out like Jerome Bettis, John Elway. Go out Peyton Manning.
Which is why Drew Brees right now is telling Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton, just go get this done somehow. Because he's probably got one more big year. I don't know, maybe a couple, but probably this could be it, depending on the outcome of the season.
Outcome. Yep.
Right? So I got to believe Drew Brees is saying, you just got to go figure this out. And they're saying, but Drew, what if you're not here next year and we're stuck with a big contract and a guy with a bad back?
Well, he going to be what's the Super Bowl worth?
I agree.
Seattle played, look at all the money Seattle paid Percy Harvin for basically one game, that Super Bowl, because he broke it open. So what's it worth? Jerry told us, you have no idea the size of the check that I'd be willing to write, Skip, if you told me I was going to win the Super Bowl.
Are you guaranteeing that New Orleans is going to win the Super Bowl?
I'm guaranteed they're going to beat you.
Really?
Yes.
South?
Yep.
Do we have cases already on
Yeah.
Do we have 5?
We got 5 on it.
You want to make it 8?
Whatever.
Okay. 8. Thank you.
I don't know. Look, I don't know what you've been drinking that Tom Brady shipped you from. I guess he's close to St. Augustine, the fountain of youth. So I guess he's bottling something down there and he shipped it to you because you seem real gung ho lately. You even more adamant. Oh, he gonna do it.
Tom's shipping me this stuff called Ponce de Leon.
Yeah,
exactly. Know what it is.
But all I know, we're gonna talk about this. His old teammates, they ain't even talking about him no more.
Good.
That gotta hurt, Skip. That hurt. That really hurt.
Hurts?
Yeah, that hurt.
How does it hurt?
I mean, at least the old girlfriend, you got to say good things about me. Don't say I ain't talking about him no more. Jenny, that hurt. That would hurt me.
That normally isn't the case. They normally don't say good things.
They just say good things. He was, we had different of opinions. We wanted different things in life. But he's a good guy. No. Don't say I ain't talking about him.
It's funny how the Patriots all get asked about Tom Brady.
It is interesting.
Nobody in Tampa is talking about the Patriots.
Yeah.
They don't care.
They don't need to worry, right? Who needs to worry? Okay, we're going to get there, guys. No mercy. Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell were quiet last night compared to the offensive outburst we'd seen earlier this series. Murray finished with 17 points on 7 for 21 shooting from the floor, but escaped with the win. Mitchell had a team-high 22 points, but also had a late, costly turnover. So, Shannon, what letter grade do you give Murray and Mitchell for last night?
Skip, I'm going to start with Mitchell first. I don't know how he gets a passing grade. 2 points in the fourth quarter, 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter. He was stripped late. He had 9 turnovers and 1 assist, and they lost the game. So I don't know how do I get a passing grade out of that?
So you're going F?
Yeah, I got to give him an F. I don't have no choice, Skip. I mean, because he had been so sensational, and it's not like, you know, when you take tests, Skip, you don't get like, well, you get A. Well, he's been getting a lot of A's, so I automatically just gonna give him an A on the next test. No, I'm gonna grade you accordingly. And last night was not his finest moment. He did not play well, and maybe it was fatigue. I understand it was Game 7, but this is when you can really create a legend for yourself.
Yep.
Is the moments like this here. And this is why football players, Skip, the guys that perform in the playoffs, because every football game in the playoff is a Game 7. Because ain't no Game 4, Skip. Okay, we lost, we come back to get them to Game 5. Every game in the playoffs is a Game 7.
Yep.
That's what makes it so heightened. For Jamal Murray, Skip, I'm gonna give him a D. They won. That's the only thing passing I can give him. Because you look at a guy, Skip, he was averaging about 20 points in the fourth quarters. And he got 4 points on 2 of 7. He was 0 of 2 from the three-point line and 7 of 21 field goal, 1 for 6 from the 3. And, Skip, I still believe it was a mistake in a situation like that. You pull that ball out and you make them foul you. And so I believe that was a mistake. It didn't end up costing them. But so I'm going to give him a D, and I'm going to give Donovan Mitchell an F.
Okay. I start by saying how much I love both these young men. And they put on a show of shows for 6 games. But the stage got too big for both of them in Game 7. And I was highly disappointed and deflated about both their performances last night. I'm going to go D and D. I can't go fail because they both had their moments that would raise them above a flunk grade. So let's go Donovan first, and I told you to start the show. When you have 9 turnovers and 1 assist, you get D as in disqualified on that right there. But at least you had a flurry that helped get you back in the game. They were down 19 with a minute gone in the third quarter, and at least you had something to do with the rally. And you did make 9 of 22 shots, even though you were only 2 of 8 from 3.
Right.
But I'll give you that much. And you did have 1 basket with 2.5 minutes left when he drove it and sort of right hand scooped it up and in. I'll give you that. So I'm going to give him a D. But I also reiterate what I said to open the show. There were too many possessions from the mid-fourth quarter to the end in which he stood over on the side with his hands on his knees because I think he was either gassed. I'm going to give him gassed. Maybe I'm giving him a pass. But you have to go get the ball from Mike Conley Jr. You kept forcing him to create a play that at age 32, after all the playoff miles he has on those legs and knees, he's not capable of making. So Mike Conley goes 1 of 7 in the fourth quarter because you kept making him shoot it when he didn't want to shoot it. You don't have Bogdanovich as your second scorer, and it was Mike Conley with Donovan just saying, no, go ahead, you do it. Me? Okay, I'll try. I'll try to do something here. Mike Conley goes 2 of 13 for the game, and obviously he shoots the 3 that lips in and lips out at the buzzer.
Right.
Okay, so Donovan didn't impress me through the fourth quarter with his will to win. Give me the damn ball and get out of my way.
Right.
Which brings me back to Jamal. And by the way, Donovan had averaged 39 a game for the first 6, and he scored 22 last night and went 2 of 8 from 3. Okay. Now, Jamal, he had averaged 34 a game. He was half that last night with 17 and went 1 of 6 from 3. And I told you in 3 Game 7s he's now played, he has 1 3-pointer to his name. Not good enough. So you said he'd scored 20 a game. I checked this just now. He had averaged in the fourth quarters and overtime of those first 6 games, 16 a game. Well, that's extraordinary.
Right.
16 points. Most people would take 16 for a game in the playoffs. And in those fourth quarters, 6 games, and 1 overtime, I believe it was, he made 16 of 19 3-point shots.
Right.
That's preposterous.
Skip, and both guys, Donovan Mitchell made the most threes in a series in NBA history with 33. The second place was Jamal Murray with 32. They tied Steph Curry, who made 32 in the 2016 finals against the against the Cavs.
Okay, so Jamal had made 16 of 19 threes in 6 fourth quarters plus 1 overtime.
Right.
Last night in overtime, he scored 4 points and went 0 of 2 from 3. It's just not good enough.
Right.
The stage was too big. Throats are tightening. Pulses are pounding. It's Game 7, and this is a new deal.
And even though, Skip, it's in the bubble,
Yeah.
you're in prime time. That's a whole different ball
You are
game.
in prime
You
time. It's 9 o'clock Eastern.
They put that.
Or it was earlier. Last night
Yeah,
started at
8:30.
Yeah.
They put that in prime time because because they saw what was going on. Like, we might get one of those.
By the way, it was on AB.
Yes, Skip. So the reason why I look at Donovan, Skip, in the first half, he was 3 of 7 from the field. He was 1 of 3 from the three-point line. He was 5 turnovers, -9. So the predicament that they were in, he helped aid
He
that.
did. In fact, he had 1 basket to his name until a minute was left in the first half.
Yes. So, Skip, that's not good enough. You're the leader. You can't have that.
No.
And especially you see Conley struggling. You see Ingles struggling. You see O'Neal struggling. You have to say, you know what, guys? I got you. I'm gonna carry this thing as long as I can until you guys find a rhythm. You can't struggle along with them and like, well, nah, I just don't have it. You expected more, Skip, but the 9 turnovers with the 1 assist, and they lost, Skip. If they had won, you could possibly give him a C because at the end of the day, the objective is to win the game. But, Skip, you have 9 turnovers with 1 assist, and you shoot 9 of 22 from the floor? I can't give you no passing grade with that one.
Okay. All right. And speaking of those turnovers, could we one more time see the 9th and last turnover?
Right.
And how Donovan reacted after the turnover? Because I had a big problem with this, if we could please see it. He tries to drive it right on Gary Harris, who jumps it and pushes him back to his left. Then he spins, and Gary Harris pokes the ball free. Jamal's got it. Where is Donovan Mitchell?
Laying on the ground.
He's pouting at the other end. He thinks the game is over. Kids don't do this at home because Donovan Mitchell there standing. He had his arm. I think he was still saying, give me the ball. I'm open. You have to jump up and chase the play. If you had chased the play to the other end, maybe if you got to the top of the circle, when Rudy comes up with the missed layup rebound, maybe Rudy sees you first instead of Mike Conley, and you do have the ball, and you have 2.5 seconds to dribble it 3 times and shoot a long-distance jump shot to win it.
He should have just kicked this ball. Murray should have just passed this ball to Gary Harris and let time run out because they wouldn't have been able to get it.
I told you how I felt about that. If you were sure you got it.
That is
Torrey Craig, who missed the layup.
Yeah.
It's Torrey Craig who missed the layup.
Missed the layup. But I'm saying Harris was on the flank, so just pass it to him.
That. But I told you how I feel about that. If you have a 2-on-1 and you are dead solid sure that he is going to dagger dunk it, because that's going to put you up 4, then go for it.
Go for it.
But you better be sure that you got it, because you don't got it, because it's Game 7, and Torrey Craig leaves it a little short trying to lay it in off the glass.
I wouldn't want to chance that, but as you mentioned, with what we had seen from these guys in the previous, now Jamal Murray hadn't been as consistent as Donovan because there were a couple of games in there, Skip. I think games 2 and 3, he was in the teens as far as scoring. But games 4, 5, and 6, he was off the chart. Donovan has been a little bit more consistent. He scored 20 points in at least 20.
Denver fell behind 3-1.
Exactly. And then he went bonkers. And for him to go bonkers and then only have 17, but he won. So, Skip, you got to get a grade. You got to get a letter grade just for winning.
Yep.
But Donovan didn't play well last night. He didn't play well.
The joke was on Donovan because Joker was on the other team and he did play well.
And that was one of the reasons why I picked Utah, because I felt if Jamal Murray didn't play well, Joker could pick up the slack.
Yeah. You picked Denver, right?
Yeah, I picked Denver. Yeah, that's why I felt they could win.
Right,
it's because basically it was 2-on-1.
Yep.
It was 2-on-1.
It was. And now it's going to be like 8-on-1 or 8-on-2. I'll give you 2 because the Clippers are going to
come on, Joe,
with them in 5.
Okay.
Yep.
In 5.
Okay,
what do you got?
I got to see how things play out.
See how things play out. Okay.
We might sign Dikembe.
And those two, both 23 years old, guys. So we've got so much to look forward to. I liked the image of Murray consoling Mitchell after the game. Like, a lot of respect between the two after a hard-fought series.
No mercy.
Fox NFL Sunday is back September 13th with a great slate of early games. Then It's a blockbuster in America's game of the week as Brady and the new look Bucks take on Breeze and the Saints. Check local listings for the games in your area or watch it on the Fox Sports app. ESPN.com polled all of their NFL experts to rank each player based on how well they think they will perform in 2020. Dak Prescott came in at 20th overall on the list and was the 6th QB. And down a dozen spots at 32 was Tom Brady, the 8th QB on the list. So, Shannon, do you agree Dak should be ranked higher than Tom Brady?
Yes, that he should be, Skip. And it's sad that the article had to preface this by saying the upcoming season because everybody wants to go back, mainly the guy that's sitting across from me, but he the GOAT. He's 6 for 9. Okay, that's fine. We understand that. But just because you're 6 for 9, it's not about who's had the best career. Who's going to have the best, who do they believe is going to have the best season this year coming into the season? That's what this is about, Skip Bayless.
Yep.
This is not a Lifetime Achievement Award. This is not the academies. This is not what this is.
Yep.
Well, you know how they give Quincy Jones a Lifetime Achievement Award, or they give this great director a Lifetime Achievement Award. This is not what this is. Based on this upcoming season, what quarterbacks or players do we believe will have the best season? That's it. Nothing else. Don't you try to take away, don't you try to add. So, yes, I absolutely believe it. I believe Matt Ryan should have been in front of him also, Skip Bayless, because let me tell you something about this offense. Now, I don't know a whole lot about offense, but I know this one. This is the West Coast system. And here are some guys that have played well, I think. You might know it. You might have heard of a guy named Elway, Young, Montana, Favre, Rogers. I'm not saying Dak's in that category, but Jeff Garcia, look at what he did in this offense. Jake Plummer, look at what he did in this offense. Donovan McNabb, look at what he did in this offense. Also another guy, I forgot about my homeboy. He's also in the West Coast. So, Skip, this offense is very quarterback-friendly, especially if you're athletic and you can move. Dak can move. I believe Dak is going to have one of his better seasons. Jerry's going to have to pay that man $40 million, and you about to be sick. So to make a long story short, Dak Prescott should be ranked higher than Tom Brady based on what they believe going to happen in 2020.
Interesting. So help me out with this. I'm just looking at Fox Bet odds to win the Super Bowl, and I don't know how, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Succaneers, the team that went 7-9 last year, they're all the way up at 5th best odds at 14-1.
Are they better?
They're ahead of Dak. They're ahead of Dak.
So who got the best MVP odds?
Who's the?
Who got the best MVP odds?
I'm not finished.
Okay,
who's the quarterback for the Bucs? You know what? Maybe I missed this. Maybe Blaine Gabbert is going to win that starting job, and they're saying, boy, we like Blaine
if they
Gabbert
gave him a fair shake.
We like that washed-up, broken-down Tom Brady.
Hold on. Are you criticizing Blaine Gabbert? Because that's the guy that your guy led a 10-point comeback for him in the fourth quarter and beat in Jacksonville. But now you criticizing. You just been hyping Tom Brady for the last 4 years about the job he did coming back against Jacksonville. But who was the guy on the other side? Blame, B-L-A-M-E, Blaine Gabbert.
I think you're mixing him up with the other guy.
No,
that's okay.
That's your guy.
Yeah, this is Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine.
Okay, I want everybody out there to understand that this man just tried to make a case that my guy, Dak Prescott, I love Dak Prescott.
I can't tell.
Is ranked 12 slots above Tom Brady, the GOAT, 12 spots above him, 20th to 32nd. And this man across from me, the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, over the last 13 games last year, gave my man Dak Prescott F grades for his performance.
Grade hard.
Well, you grade so hard that, I don't know, Tom Brady must have flunked, what would that have been last year, 19th grade, because he flunked it.
He flunked against the Dolphins and the Titans. He flunked them.
Did he?
Flunked them.
So I want to remind everybody that Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., in the final regular season game that he ever played in Foxborough, he had another long game-winning drive of 60 yards, cashed it, put his team up 4 points, not 3, put his team up 4 points, and all of a sudden the 2 seed in the AFC is in the palms of Bill Belichick's hands. And he allowed an 80-yard drive to Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, in 13 plays to win the game at the buzzer, a 5-yard pass to Gesicki that cost them a week off. And I want everybody to understand that Tom Brady actually last year had his greatest year doing the most with the least, because by all accounts, the Patriot receiving core as a whole group were dead last in separation in the league last year. So he's got arguably the worst wide receiver / tight end core in the whole league that he's trying to throw to, and poor Cam Newton is going to find that out quickly.
Oh, I don't know if you heard it, but you hear about all that praise little Coach Belichick been giving on Cam?
That's great.
Yo!
Go for it. So it's also hard for me to comprehend how my guy Dak Prescott, who was not even voted by the players in this league going into last football season in the top 100, has skyrocketed to 20th.
Yes.
Overnight.
No, it wasn't overnight.
What just happened?
Hold on. What did the players have him ranked? The players, he didn't make it the year before, but what did the players have him ranked this year? Okay, then.
Yep. So my theory on this is that suddenly Dak Prescott has been made into a sympathetic figure by Jerry Jones, because contract impasse, pay the man. Pay him what? I kept asking, pay him what? I don't know, just pay the man. He wants like $42 million a year. He wants up in the Patrick Mahomes category, in the stratosphere that Mahomes got paid. He's not worth that. He hasn't proven to be that guy yet. And Jerry offered him a very fair deal of $36 million a year and 80+ million guaranteed at signing.
We might have been willing to take that prior to the offseason, but Skip Bayless, I want you to stop doing this.
Wow.
Because what you're doing again is that you keep saying Tom Brady had a game-winning drive. They lost the game. That's like every time, you know what, Skip? I'll tell you what I do.
3 minutes to go, and it's up to what you call the greatest defensive mind in the history of football to coordinate a defense to stop the Dolphins from going 80 yards to score a touchdown.
Skip, every day, a couple of times a week, I go in there and buy a lottery ticket. And I say, just the winning lottery ticket. I have yet to win. You can't say Tom Brady had a game-winning drive if they don't win the game. So Tom Brady did not have a game-winning drive against the Miami Dolphins. He lost.
Should it have been validated by the New England defense?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Hold on. First of all, Coach Belichick says the last 2 times Tom Brady played in that stadium, in Gillette Stadium, did you know he gave the other team 6 points? He did that. He did that. It should have been 3 times.
So help me out. Was he throwing to Amari Cooper?
Oh,
no. Did he have even Michael Gallup? No. Did he have Randall Cobb? I didn't see a Randall Cobb out there.
But you know what?
Did he have a Blake Jarwin even?
You know what?
He didn't have Blake Jarwin.
I noticed you never said that. When Tom Brady was throwing to Gronk, you never said Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a Gronk. Drew Brees doesn't have a Gronk. Or none of these other quarterbacks don't have a Gronk.
Did not have a Gronk.
Oh, but he had it for 9 years. But you never said anything about that.
We're talking about last year. Okay. You say he's decayed.
Whoa.
Really?
Hold on. Tom Brady, Jesus, right? He's the only man that touched water in wine.
Hey, have you been reading the raves coming out of Tampa Bay camp?
What they supposed to say, Skip?
What are they supposed to say about Cam Newton?
All I know is Coach Belichick been praising him.
Okay.
Coach Belichick, when have you ever known Coach Belichick to praise anybody?
I guess Cam's going to make him forget about Tom Brady like that, right?
Do you realize that once Tom walked out that door, Coach Belichick forgot about him?
Yep.
As a matter of fact, Coach Belichick was trying to forget 2 years ago. You know that.
Forgot about him 3 years ago, actually. So in the end, this is also what I call CD syndrome, because the drafting of CeeDee Lamb was such an explosion, and I first guessed it, I called it,
Okay.
I told you he was the best wide receiver by far in the draft.
Right.
That all of a sudden everybody's leaping to the conclusion, wait a second, they got kind of a new number one, like a co-number one with Amari, and then there's Gallup as number 2.
Okay.
And all of a sudden...
So you should agree with me.
It's like Dak should be ranked higher because he's got better weapons.
But you should...
Has anybody seen what Tom Brady has in Tampa?
Hold on.
You ever seen those weapons?
So you should agree with me. You said CeeDee Lamb is the game changer.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So what's the problem?
But that's not going to make Dak better than Tom Brady.
Yeah, he already is right now. Going into 2020.
Tom Brady's got the GOAT tight end with him.
Skip, you can't keep getting... Skip, just because he's the most accomplished quarterback, he might be the GOAT quarterback. You don't get to be the best player at your position for perpetuity. You have to update that resume.
And he did last year.
Hold on. Did he go to the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, very underrated.
Did he go to the Pro Bowl?
No.
Okay, then was he all pro? So what was he? So when did he update that resume?
Help me out. Did he have Ezekiel Elliott?
Oh, so
did he have the Cowboy offensive line last year? No.
Does he got him now? Does he have him now? Does he got Zeke now? Does he have the Cowboys offensive line now? Does he have CD Lamb?
Working with a cupboard that was bare last year.
So, okay, how about this here? You like Scotty Miller or you like CD Lamb? I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Little Scotty. You like little Scotty Miller or you like CD Lamb?
Do I like Mike Evans or CD Lamb? I'll take Mike Evans right now.
No,
yeah,
that wasn't a question. I asked you.
What is that? What kind of question is that?
Because the slot receivers. Scotty Miller, you've been hyping Scotty Miller. I love Scotty Miller. And you talked about...
Did you see Brady raving about him the other day?
Okay. So
and by the way, he's not just a slot receiver. He is so fast, they've been splitting him out wide, and he's been catching deep balls from Tom Brady. I told you, I warned you, I first guessed Scotty Miller. Here he comes. Good luck.
Skip, you need to stop with this.
Tom Brady is better than Dak Prescott.
No, he's not.
Right now. He just is.
No, he's not.
He's better than just about anybody.
No, he's not.
I'll give you Mahomes, barely.
Deep ball. Hold on. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Dak rated higher than Tom Brady?
Rated higher how?
In a QBR. Completion percent. I mean, come on now.
Look at the weapons difference. Wow.
Oh, so did he get less weapons?
Did Dak get less now?
Yeah.
No, he got more.
Okay, then.
But so did Tom.
And which one? And which one is 27 and which one is 43?
Doesn't matter.
It do matter.
It's called pliability.
It's called old age.
Pliability.
No, it's called Ponce de Leon.
Age backwards for Tom Brady's case. The good news, guys, we are so close to having football again, and we can debate some real game action.
No mercy.
On ESPN's rankings that project the best players for this season, Aaron Donald came in second behind Patrick Mahomes. And remember, last season, Donald was one on the same list. He was also third on the NFL Network's top 100 players list this year and first last season. So, Shannon, do you agree with Aaron Donald consistently being ranked this high?
Yeah, he is the preeminent defensive player in all of football, Skip. There's nothing he can't do. He can bull you. He can rip you. He has the hop chop. He can, Mr. Miyagi, wipe you on, wipe off. Skip, he's special. And, I go back to the 90s, and I saw some great pass rushers. I played against Reggie White. I rest his soul, Bruce Smith, and, LT. I call LT. I was in LT, last 3-4 years of his career. And I've seen some great pass rushers, Skip. Warren Sapp, Johnny Randall. Skip, he's in that category. He's that good. He's special. And when you look at him, Skip, I think the thing is, the first thing I saw him, I was like, man, that's Aaron Donald. Damn, he's smart. Be a hellraiser. He's a guy that as an offensive unit, when you meet and they talk about, okay, what do we need to do in order to be effective? What do we have to do to move the football? How do we win this game? The first guy you circle is number 99. And they're going to tell you, if we can't block him, we can't win the game. That's it. If you can't, he's the preeminent player in all of football. From the defensive perspective, Skip, tackles since he entered the league in 2014, tackle for losses, he's number one. Quarterback hits, he's number one. He's second in sacks behind Chandler Jones. And he's doing this from the defensive tackle position. He gets double teamed more than any other defensive player in all of football. Skip, he's in. He's in, Skip. He's as good as it comes. And like I said, having played against these other guys and having studied them on tape, Aaron Donald's in that. He's at the table. He's in that room with him.
Here I go again. Every time I do this, Aaron Donald gets mad at me, and I don't want him mad at me because he seems like a really nice young man, now 29 years of age. I don't want to rile him up ahead of the opening Sunday night game, which is Dallas at Los Angeles Rams in that new
that new $5 billion stadium.
Yeah, I don't want to flip his switch for that game.
Well, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I just don't see it. I don't see, what do you say? Nothing he can't do special?
Nothing. Special.
So I have closely watched 4 games that my Cowboys have played his Rams. That's 4 times, 4 full football games, 60 minutes at a time. Every time I turn off my TV, I say, I don't remember him playing in that game. Did 99 flash one time? Nope. Guess how many sacks that number 99 has against my Cowboys in 4 games, including a playoff game? How about a big fat 0? 99, 100? No, it's 99 to 0. We're going backwards. 0 sacks. He has 8 total tackles. He has 4 tackles for loss in 4 games and 2 hits on the quarterback in 4 games. And in that playoff game out here 2 years ago at the end of the year, 0 sacks and 2 solo tackles, 0 quarterback hits in that game. That's 60 minutes of football, and I don't remember 99 playing in that game. I didn't play, obviously, against Lawrence Taylor, but I watched just about every game he ever played. And listen, 56 would leap off your TV screen.
You need to get a bigger TV.
I watched Reggie White again and again and again and again. In 92, you could just see this force of nature in the middle of the line, and he would blow up 2 people and maybe blow up a fullback and then blow up the quarterback. There's nothing quite like him. My favorite player all time who despised me and we clashed all the time off the field was Charles Haley, number 94 for those Dallas Cowboys. He was the reason he took them over the top into 2 straight Super Bowls and 3 in 4 years that they won. And 94 leaped off your, when I was in the press box, you just see 94, they'd put 2 on him every time. And he would rip move him, he would spin move him, he would bull rush him. He would beat 2 blockers every time and at least get a hand on the quarterback. There was nothing quite like Charles Haley, and it was just an outrage that he didn't get into the Hall of Fame as long as it took for him to get in, and he finally did. God bless him.
First player with 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, how about playoff performances from number 99 of the Los Angeles Rams? So he's played 4 playoff games. He has a grand total of a half a sack. That came in the 2017 wild-card loss at home to Atlanta, a half a sack. And in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady's New England Patriots, he was all over. No, he wasn't all over Tom Brady. I don't remember him playing in the Super Bowl. I watched the whole game, and I thought, did Aaron Donald play in that game? So in other words, Skip, he had 0 sacks in the Super Bowl.
So in other words, Aaron Donald came into the league in 2014, so he's about to go into his 7th season, if I'm not mistaken. So that's 84 games in his first 6 seasons, and you break him down to 4 games. So we're going to disregard the other 8.
I got 4 Cowboy games and then 4 playoff games.
Yeah.
Okay? And by the way, to finish in the Super Bowl, he had 1 solo tackle, 0 tackle for loss, and 1 hit on Tom Brady.
Slung Tom down like a rag doll.
Okay.
I remember it.
1 time.
Skip, but you got to be careful of this, because think about it. People at home won't know the person that has the most playoff sacks in NFL history. It's Willie McGinnis. Are you saying Willie McGinnis is better than Bruce Smith, Reggie White?
How many playoff games did Willie play?
Willie played a bunch. Yeah.
Thanks to Thomas Edward Patrick Brady.
Well, Skip, you do realize that Bruce Smith played a bunch because they went to 4 straight Super Bowls.
They did.
Skip, the thing is that this kid, Skip, I'm telling you, this kid is special. He is special. He's that played the under tackle, and that's the position that Joe Green, Mean Joe, made famous. And you try to find, if you're looking for a tackle, is he Joe Green? Is he Warren Sapp? Is he Johnny Randall? And now the great, is he that? Is he that? Is he Aaron Donald?
You know, it reminds me of pseudo-sophisticates going to the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art in New York.
Yeah.
You look at a painting, you say, that's special. And I look and say, how? Why? Oh, everybody thinks it's special.
No, ain't nobody everybody think. Okay. Everybody knows he's special.
Are you
we don't gotta think that. We know he's special.
That's a good analogy. I like that. That's interesting. Sometimes you just don't see it. I understand.
Well, I've been to MoMA a bunch.
Oh, now you really, Shannon? Yeah. I don't know if I believe you there, but we're going to let it go. We've got another Game 7 tonight to decide who will advance to face the Lakers. No mercy. The Thunder and Rockets face off in a Game 7 tonight, with the winner advancing to face LeBron and the Lakers. OKC has won 3 of the last 4 games in the series, but according to Fox Bet, the Rockets are now 5-point favorites tonight. So, Shannon, who wins?
I got my money on with 5-bet. I got my money on the Rockets.
Do you?
Yep, sure do.
Okay.
And I'm expecting James Harden to have a monster night. I'm going to say something like 35, 10, and 6.
Really?
35, 10, and 7.
Okay.
Pretty close to a triple-dub. That's what I'm expecting. They should have done wrap this series up, but they let the OKC hang around, blew huge late leads in Game 3 and Game 6. They close them out tonight, get ready to face the purple and gold on Friday.
So it will be by how many?
I'm going to say they cover 7.
By 7?
Yep.
I go Rockets by 12 because if this is a close game down to the wire and it's only a 2 or 3 point game, I believe Oklahoma City will win this game because that's what Oklahoma City has been doing all year long. There's nobody better in the clutch so far this year than this guy CP3 and that team as a whole. So I believe James is going to go 38, 8, and 12 assists. They're going to make a bunch. I say they'll make 23s, and Russ will reduce turnovers to only 2.
Well, they're going to attempt 60s.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But they need 20.
Yeah, they just make 20. Yeah. I'm going with the Rockets. I agree with you, Skip. I just think that overall they're a better team, and I don't think it's going to come down to the last 2 minutes. I think they'll have a big enough lead. I think they'll foul to prolong the game, but I think Houston make their free throws and close it out tonight, and they win and play the Lakers on Friday.
If they don't, all hell will break loose.
I think so. Maybe I should pick the upset here. I don't know. All right, that is it for Undisputed. Enjoy Game 7 tonight. We're back same time tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Have a good day.